Hello, good morning. It's Mrs. Cora Janis. Thank you for all of your effort yesterday on your homework. Um, I have taken some snips of student work, and I'm going to review number 5 and number 6 from the homework yesterday. Um, Numbers 1 through 4, most of you did well. The majority of you did well. If you fell in the category of you did not do well, Mr. Duggan and I will reach out to you and we'll work with you in a small group. But for the most part, everybody kind of needed something with number 5 and 6, whether you didn't know how to do it, whether it was the way you're showing work, some of that. So, the first example I'm giving you is actually a really good example, but I want to kind of show you now that we're moving on to Algebra 1 and we're getting a little older and we're starting to move into higher level math, what we want to start doing is writing like a mathematician. Okay, so this problem is great. Let me rewrite it here. So we have the problem was 4/5 x is equal to 16. So this student did well. This student multiplied by the reciprocal, which is not what I showed you how to do on the video, but it's totally a correct way to do this, okay? So this student multiplied both sides by the reciprocal, which is 5/4. But I want you to notice the difference between what I'm doing and what this student did. Besides using the different colors. Okay, so notice that the student is using an X here to show multiplication where we want to use parentheses. And the reason we want to use parentheses is because we already have a variable of X. And if we're using, we already have the variable of X. So if we're using X to show multiplication, it's very, very confusing. So we don't want to use X to show multiplication, okay? So now what we're going to do is the student was correct from there on forward. Okay, so 5/4 right here times 5/4 times 4/5 gives us 1x. Okay, and it's equal to, and the student did it right here as well. Let me change this to orange. 5/4 times 16, but we'd like parentheses there. Actually, I'm not quite sure what this is. Because if they did this part, then it just goes to 1x. So we've got some mistakes right there too. All right, and then so yeah, so the work really isn't 100% correct from there on forward, but the answer is right. And I do look to make sure that your work is correct and it's not just the answer. I don't care so much about the answer as I do with the work. Okay, so 5/4 times 4/5 equals 1x, and then 16 times 5/4 is should be 20. And you should be using decimals for this. Yep, it's 20. So our answer is x is equal to 20. Now, really quick, the reason this is 1, and I showed you on the other video, is 5/4 times 4/5. When I multiply, I'm going to multiply the numerators. When I multiply fractions, I multiply the numerator. So 5 times 4 is 20, and 4 times 5 is 20. So I multiply the numerators, and then I multiply the denominators. So 20 divided by 20 is 1. Okay, so this is the way that this should look, okay? Now, the way I taught you, I'll do it in just a minute. So that's not a way that we want. Okay, here, for this one's not correct either. Okay, this one here has 4/5 x equals 16, and then somehow we get 20 is equal to 80. Okay, so we're multiplying by 5. I see that this person wants to multiply by 5, but I don't know that because, see, I see just this 5 down here. So what I should have seen is 4/5 x is equal to 16. What I should have seen is this multiplied by 5 like this. That's what the student would have wanted to do, which then would have led us to these crossing out, which would have gave us 4x is equal to 80. Then divided both sides by 4, so x is equal to 20. The reason, the way we got 4 here is if I have 5 times 4/5, I can rewrite 5 as a fraction, so 5 over 1. When I multiply fractions, I multiply my numerators, and then I multiply my denominators. So 5 times 4 is 20. 1 times 5 is 5. And then I divide. 20 divided by 5 is 4. Okay, so this student wanted to do the same thing as well. Okay, but this is the way your work should be showing right here. Okay. Anything else I wanted to tell you about these? No, I think what was it? Okay, so I know one more thing. So when I do standards-based grading, so this isn't necessarily wrong. If you did something like this on a test, for instance, neither of these are not yet. I would say that these are both beginner stages. And this is a progressing stage. Okay, so when we do the numbers, this would be a 2 and the beginner would be a 1. Okay, so on your papers, you're going to see when I start to write on your papers or when I put notes in Student Connect, because I'm trying to learn with Schoology how I can write on your papers. I can't always write on all your papers. But if I really need to, I will. But for right now, this is what we're going to be doing are these videos. Anyway, if you see progressing, that's good. Progressing is good. And so is beginning. You don't want to be at a not yet. Okay. So beginning or progressing, you're good. Where you want to be is at a 3, which is meeting expectations, or a 4, which is exceeding expectations. All right, so moving forward, let's look at number 5 again. So this student's work is a good example. So this is a good example. Okay, so we have right here 4/5 x equals 16. This student multiplies by the denominator. So 5 over 1 here, divided by, or multiply by 5 there, using the parentheses. We're left with 4. This right here, I'm not quite sure. Oh, yes, I do know. Never mind. Okay, so we're left with 4x equals 80. Then the student divides both sides by 4. Got 1x equals 20. X is equal 20. So this is the correct answer. Now, this student also did it the way I showed you too, how I'm doing that like little sidebar to show the multiplication right here. So that's good. Okay, so this student, I would say, is exceeding expectations. So we'd be getting a 4 on that because they showed me all of their work. Okay, this is perfect. All right, so let's go on to number 6. And number 6 is x divided by 4 is equal to 3. All right, so this student did a nice job. They're multiplying both sides by the denominator, which is 4, okay? But the only thing is, like we said, is we need to use parentheses instead. So this student isn't far off. It's just the parentheses. So this student would probably get a 3, so meeting expectations on this one, okay? Because I think they know what they're doing, but we also need to write like a mathematician, okay? Because those X's, when you put those X's into show multiplication, eventually they're going to confuse you, all right? So we want to multiply both sides by 4 like this student did. Good job. Okay, there's an understood 1 right here. Okay. So then these actually cross out, leaving us with 1x is equal to 12. So they showed us here 4x times 3, okay, is 12. So x is equal to 12. Okay, so the reason I got 1x here is because this is 4 times 1 divided by 4, because the x is separate, okay? I hope that you see this, why it's like that. If not, just let me know and I'll talk to you one-on-one. And then we rewrite this 4 as a fraction, so 4 divided by 1. And when we multiply fractions, we multiply the numerators and then we multiply the denominators. So 4 times 1 is 4. 1 times 4 is 4. 4 divided by 4 is 1 because fractions are ultimately just division. All right, let's go down to this one. So for this one, the student is on the right track. And for this one, the student would probably get a 2 because I see they want to multiply, but I don't know what that means right there, like on the bottom. Okay, then that's the difference between the student above and this student. So we need to show this by showing the parentheses like this. Okay, so a student would get a 2 on this one because I think they're progressing. Same thing here. I'm following the work. I know what they want to do. So this is a 2. Okay, again, they would have needed to multiply both sides by 4. You need to show the work like that. All right, and this here is a good example. And this is another student's work. Okay, so they multiply both sides by the denominator, which is 4. The 4's cancel out, leaving us with 1x equals 12. 3 times 4 is 12. 1x equals 12. And then they're also showing me why they're getting that. Okay, so they showed it a little bit different than me, but theirs is 100% correct. Okay, so this would be a 4 for this student. Okay, I hope this helps. Please let me know if you have any questions.